this is Live 90.5, your sound, your community. This is your host, Andsley, and I'm joined by the Honourable Minister, Michelle Rowland, who's got some exciting news to share with us. Michelle, how are you doing?
I'm great, thank you.
Excellent. Michelle, what has been happening in the area, and what are some of the initiatives you've implemented?
It's been a very busy time. I guess there's probably two key things. The first is cost of living is top of everyone's minds. And as I go out and about in the community, people know that from the 1st of July they would have received a tax cut. In my electorate of Greenway alone, the average taxpayer has had a tax cut of over $1,600, which is great. Energy bill relief of $300. But we're always looking at ways that we can help assist with the cost of living without unnecessarily adding to inflation. But I think the other area of particular issue is for young people, and we've had about $3 billion of student debt that's been wiped, and that's really important for a growth area like here in northwest Sydney. So I think the budget initiatives are starting to get bedded down. I was out this morning at Rouse Hill Metro Station just meeting commuters with Warren Kirby, the member for Riverstone, this morning, and people are eager to understand how some of these cost of living initiatives will benefit them both at a state and federal level. And I should say, Ainsley, we know that people are doing it tough at the moment. We want to provide every assistance that we can. So that's the first element, I think, is like how the budget is translating into the lives of everyday people in our community. But the second, in terms of my own portfolio, but also something that's very local. I know you'll have a lot of listeners around the Ponds, Schofields, Riverstone area. And it's big areas like this that are being undertaken rapid development where mobile technology is really important. It's not just a nice to have or something that's convenient. People actually rely on it for their small businesses, for how they interact with government. So we know how important that is, but also how building infrastructure just has failed to keep up with the demand. So I've been working with Blacktown Council, with the telcos, and also last month they held a community forum online that attracted a huge number of local residents just to understand those impacts, see what we can do to work better with the telcos and with council to get approvals done for this infrastructure in a better way. And I was just out there this morning at the Ponds at the new tower that's been constructed at Jonas Bradley Reserve. And TPG Vodafone has just put its kit up. It's now working. So hopefully that will see some improvements for local residents. But again, just to reiterate, we know how important this is. We are working with all of the stakeholders to get a better outcome. But in the long term, as Communications Minister, I've actually changed the rules to say that, when new developments are done, you expect to have water, electricity, the sewerage on. There's no requirement currently to provision for mobile services, and that's a real gap. So we've changed the rules to say when developers are going in now to these estates, they have to provision that at the start, because retrofitting it is actually really time-consuming and difficult, and people suffer in the interim. So I guess that's a long way of saying, Ainsley, I think it's about quality of life, as it always is, isn't it, in our
Definitely.
area?
You keep doing the amazing work that you're doing for the community and Australia, actually. Yeah.
Well, we keep doing our best, and
Definitely.
it's a difficult environment at the moment. I think a lot of people understand that, but I think people also notice when you're doing what you can, but we should always be taking feedback and always be striving to do better.
Excellent. Now, Michelle, I actually noticed last night that there was an article as well in the news, Channel 9 News, regarding 3G, etc. Do you want to share just about what the expectations or what listeners out there could, how they can overcome any difficulties in that regard?
Sure. Well, the 3G networks are actually switching over from September to 4G and 5G. And that's good news. 3G is an older technology, just as 2G and technologies before it was shut down. And it means that there's a better use of spectrum, it's better quality data, better consumer experience. But the key thing for us, Ainsley, these networks are run by private mobile operators, but the government wants to make sure that it's done in a safe way. That not only includes ensuring that there's equivalent coverage once 3G is switched off, but one of the key issues of concern is around access to 000. And you might have listeners who have older phones that might be only 3G compatible, and that's going to become apparent from day one that their phones don't work. But there's a subset of handsets that are out there in the community that operate perfectly fine on 4G, but the manufacturer has actually configured them to use the 3G network to make 000 calls. So you might have people out there right now who think my phone is going to work perfectly fine, but when they go to call 000 after the switchover, they won't be able to get through. So it's those listeners, Ainsley, that I really want to speak to today. What they can do to find out if their device is affected, just text the numeral 3 to the number 3498. So just text the number 3 to 3498 and you'll get an instantaneous message to say whether or not your device is compatible. But a lot of these handsets, they are the kinds of handsets that older people might have, people who don't feel the need to upgrade their phone very often. And the big concern here was that we found at the beginning of the year that there were around 740,000 devices out there like this. So as a government, we've been working with the sector to contact those customers. That number has now come down to around 100,000, which is great progress, but we want to do better. So my public service announcement to all your listeners, please don't ignore the messages that are coming from your mobile operator now. Please take action. And if you have someone you know who you think might be impacted, get them to check yourself, because the switchover is scheduled to happen in September, and we want to make sure it's done in a safer way for everyone.
Thanks. As I said, you're doing amazing work, not just for the communication, but also for community radio, and just with the sustainability review, etc. And what just the injection you've put into community radio, that we can actually enhance our studios, enhance our experience, and also take radio to the next level. So well, thank you.
This station is a real tribute to all of your volunteers and to yourself and to your management. I think that it is really state of the art. I wish your listeners could see what I can see now. And it just proves that strong community radio builds strong communities. And it goes far beyond the media, far beyond the actual content. It goes into people's experiences. Having people involved in the whole broadcasting context, I think, is really important. And congratulations to you and all of your team on what you're doing. It's really outstanding.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Well, as I said, Love 9.5, your sound, your community. Thank you very much. I am alive, I am on fire.